Hello, today I'd like to talk about how to create a basic circuit and be able to measure it using National Instruments Multisim, or NI Multisim. So what we're going to do is you'll start a new sheet, we'll call it, and we'll start placing components. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place some components, and we'll get started here with resistors. So what I did is I clicked up here. Now up here the first couple buttons basically bring you to the same menu, just different sections of that menu. So if I click here, it shows me sources. If I close this and I click up here, it brings me to the basic menu. But I can go into here and change it back to sources if I want to go there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to basic and I'm going to start with some resistors. So I'm going to start with the 200 ohm. So I clicked on resistor here in the sub menu, and if I want to I can type 200 and it gives me an option for 200, 200 kilo ohm or 200 mega ohm. So I just want basic 200. So I'm going to click OK and place that. And then I also want a 470. And I can place that if I want with this orientation. Just to show you, if I wanted to rotate it, if I hit Control R, it'll rotate it 90 degrees. So if I did want to place it vertical, I can. Now what I want to do is I want to place my power source. So I'm going to go to Sources and Power Sources, and we're going to do DC power and click OK. Place it over here, and then we're going to place our ground. So ground, and place it. And now we should be all set to create the basic circuit, and we'll worry about measuring it in a minute. So I can orient some stuff. The measurements for the resistors are listed here. The R1, R2 is just telling you what number you place that resistor. The same with V1, that's our voltage or our source, and that's just the first one. So that number and letter doesn't affect anything. You can get rid of those in labels if you double click on them. You can change it if you override the sheet visibility, and you can hide a bunch of stuff on here if you wanted to, so the label isn't there. But we want that, so we're going to use the sheet settings and leave it the way it is. So I'm going to go ahead and start connecting my power through the resistors, and we're just going to do a basic series circuit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and drag over. Now you'll notice instead of drawing a wire down to this ground, all I did was go over, and you see how it kind of connects? It creates that dot. As long as you see that dot, you're connected. See, if I drag it down, I'm still connected. It just extended the wire out. So that is an option. And as you get more complicated, you can change the colors of the wires. So if you right click on a wire, you can do net color, which will change the colors of any wires connected to this component, or segment color, and just change that single segment. So if I did that, I can make that one blue. Again, not necessary for this kind of circuit because it's very basic, but as you get more complicated and you want to see where components are connected to things, really helpful. So now we have our circuit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect a couple indicators. So I'm just going to click on one of these menus, it doesn't matter which, and I'm going to go up to, should be basic. Nope, it is under indicators, my mistake. So I went to this menu and then clicked on indicators. Can also be gotten to from this button up here if you click up in this menu. And then I'm going to go to voltmeter. And for voltmeters, we want to attach it around our two resistors. So we're going to do one that's just horizontal. So the difference between H and HR is HR is reversed. The negative and positive are flipped. Same with vertical. Vertical positives on top, negatives on bottom. and then reversed is the opposite direction. So I'm going to do a horizontal and place it. And then we'll do, now you'll notice this menu opens up every time you place something, so you don't have to keep clicking back and forth, which is really nice. And then I'm going to do a vertical one. I'm going to place it next to my resistor. And then we want to do a ammeter, and we'll place it in a nice spot in the circuit. We'll do a vertical. We'll place it here if it'll fit nicely. There we go. So an ammeter you want to place in the circuit, and I'll shift this up a little. Now you'll notice some components you can just place right in if you move it over top. So now if I move this over, it shows that it connected. That way you can see what it looks like. So now I'm actually going to drag this voltmeter up a little, and then I'm going to connect wires around my resistor, and then I'll do the same here. And now if I hit play, we can get a reading of our, actually I chose the wrong ammeter, so it's a good lesson. I can actually show you how to replace components. So we have our voltage drop across the two resistors, which should equal close to 12 volts, if not exact. If I'm doing the math real quick in my head, it looks correct. So if I wanted to flip this and make it not negative, I can actually show you. You have to stop the simulation, right click, and you can replace component, and then do the ammeter reversed, and then play it again, and now it's positive. So that's a neat trick. If you do put the wrong component in on accident and the connections are still the same, you can do that. If it's a component that doesn't have the same connections, it might delete some of your connections, so just be careful of that. You can also change the power source here. I forgot to point that out. If you double click on here, oh, I gotta stop the simulation first. If you double click on here, you can go to value and change the voltage. So if we want it to be a higher or lower, like we could pretend it's a 9-volt battery, and then play it again, and you'll see the voltage is different here between these two, along with the current. So you can see how it affects it there. So that's a basic circuit, a basic series circuit in Multisim. Hopefully you found that helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.